I did not love my child until they were around 4 years old, said Corrine. A new friend I had met at a mommy group I had joined by claiming I raised my cousins. Devious like my dad, I know. Yet I was involved a little bit. They loved their Tia, okay? The truth is, I was an emotional wreck. Daddy recovery was becoming my baby, while my ovaries were starting to itch for one. But both felt mutually rejected by me because they were desires I had at a time where I could not stop reliving the failures I had been through. Yali had noted my growing apathy, and no matter how much she told me my perceived successes, I did not share the perception. It was the burden of being greatly abused and ambitious. My ambitions were in some ways still wrapped to the many times my father set me up to fail and succeeded, especially knowing just how big my dreams were. He took time, money, and emotional and mental stability from me, which resulted in a feeling that to invest in myself would automatically end in me learning how to keep honor in the face of defeat. So much of my life has been me gaining virtues like strength, courage, and empathy in the face of not getting what I wanted, like love, career advancement, public appreciation, and a good friend. Like everyone, I learned things did not last, but unlike many, I learned the heartbreak of trying really hard and for a really long time to make things last that were always meant to leave, like my dad. I had my girl in the beginning of the pandemic, which was hell, Corrine continued. And I just stayed home, giving her milk, watching TV, and feeling myself slowly be erased by time. I felt so bad because everyone said I would love her so quickly and bigly and immensely and immediately, but it was not until like she was 3 years old. And that was because I started to feel her personality, some of the ways she was like me and not like me. And that revived me a bit. I think the pandemic prolonged my postpartum, honestly. Green claimed, looking at the room of warm maternal eyes, trying to radiate compassion so as to assure her that she was not being judged. Instead, she was fascinating because while some of the women felt an instant, overwhelming love for their child, they too were on a similar journey of learning how to love themselves beyond their kid, or understanding how they can love their child, but also not always like them. In some ways, this was the epicenter of a creative's life, of which there is no greater creator than a mother, and no work of art more magnificent than how she raises her child, like a painting for the world to witness. I think it's that as creatives, we are taught you have to sacrifice everything, especially moms, replied Regina. She was defining creatives as artists, of which the room was filled with women that were sculptors, painters, singers, composers, and lived off their art professionally, but found motherhood to be some sort of systemic trade off. To create a child meant you had to let go of things that made you feel your inner one. This was especially true because no workforce was not led by men, even the ones deemed feminine, like fashion. To have a baby with a man while working in a world filled with them meant some type of slow burning isolation and eventual work eviction. For some reason, men believed women becoming mothers meant that that was their sole identity, and it was at least the only one that should make them happy. Yet they weren't, nor was I, despite being someone whose babies were the multiple projects she made out of love and through the years started to hate. In some ways, I was a conundrum. My ovaries were exploding, but I was not dating, and found it slightly dangerous that when it came to motherhood, I could picture myself, but could not imagine a father that was good and did not destroy me and our child. In essence, I approached motherhood the same way I approached making a life out of my creativity. Alone, burdened, and disappointed at how all my passions earned me way too many enemies, trying to stop them. It explains why I stopped loving them. They did not give me the material stability I desired, which eventually challenged the emotional stability I craved. They were made in love, but the maintenance of them oddly took that love, because to maintain came in exchange of maintaining me. I lost time, sleep, self care, and any notion that life got both spiritually and literally better. I worked to make them great, and when they did not become it, or I did not feel it, I just felt as erased as Corrine. Maybe like her, I needed to remember the essence and personality of my creativity to reignite its abundance. So, Deandra reviews it all. I started it, and I said this in a prior episode. I started it because I was working for New York Theater Guide and I was giving them all this material. And they basically, one day, I started to get personally requested because I started this section. It was called like artist close up or the artist's way. I'm sure somebody else uses that term now, but I was the first. And people started reaching out to them, asking for me to cover their work and interview them. And the owner of New York Theater Guide wrote to me the day of my birthday and said, I want you to stop. And I thought, what? Just stop. It's getting too big. Stop. And this man was like in his 50s, and the website within a year would close down. But he was asking me to stop because I was getting bigger than him. Mind you, I technically wasn't because it was his magazine and it was like I feel like I did something he wanted to do or thought he was doing and I did it better and that made him feel threatened even though my better was still serving him. It's not like I wanted to make another magazine or even thought I could. And this was a website, web magazine. And that day I was so pissed that I took all my portfolio and I made D'Angelo reviews at all. And I started the artist that requested me. He had forwarded them my email. I said, listen, I'm starting my own website. Would you like me to cover you there? And they're like, yeah, sure, sure. Like, because artists are pretty, like, coverage is coverage. And nowadays, there's so many people charging and you're like, "Are you spam? I don't even $10, $13," and it just adds up, and I say that as somebody who's doing their own art. Um, and I've always been for free because I genuinely love artists, but, like, the past few years, I've had so many health issues and just this chronic depression that I couldn't shake that really was triggered, um, by my final goodbye with my dad, which I haven't really covered on this. I've covered it lightly, but not fully. And I I kind of did it in rebelliousness, but still in this kind of idea like this guy has my work and he's cutting me off and who knows what he will do with it. And when I looked like a month later, someone else had taken over it. They were horrible, but it was still this cruelty. He just didn't want me to get bigger than him and in his own turf. And I just I started the interviews at all, and I approached getting content and interviewing artists like this idea of one day if I do enough work, I'll be on Brooklyn Vegan or I'll be on Pigeons and Planes. And the irony was Brooklyn Vegan like took some of my work and then like messaged me, but they didn't even ask me for permission and they didn't pay for it. And it was like, is this the honor of being seen, but also being made invisible? Like that's what I felt like. I was being unpaid, unthanked, unrewarded, and the burnout was coming sooner or later because you do so much to get covered, to be seen, in hopes that you get the rewards that are promised, like a job, a good paying job, notice, fame. And I felt like I kept on getting noticed like a diamond in the like a diamond in the rough, but they kept me in the rough because they wanted to be seen as the diamond. And when I started Daddy Recovery, part of my slowness in really embracing this is that I'm burnt out from living so much of my life kind of following a rigged game, thinking that if I play by the same rules that everybody is told to play, be good, put yourself out there, network, I'll actually go somewhere. But what I have found, and this is so ironic, especially now that I'm doing more acting and auditioning, sometimes I realize we may be different genders, we may be different races, classes, but we both want fame and money. And we both understand that you need it to some degree to even live. And I've been so surprised by even members of my own community, like a fellow Latino, that have cut me off from an opportunity, even if they weren't going to get it, just because I might get fame and money. Like, it's not just about the opportunity, it's what comes with the opportunity and the pain of knowing somebody's going to be more seen than you in something that you want or just seen at all. And I was, approaching daddy recovery. It's so freaking vulnerable. I feel so open. And I've opened myself so much in life that now I don't want to, because I open myself with the intention, like, if I open myself to this person, they'll love me. If I open myself up to this person, they'll give me a job. If I open myself up to whatever, it'll make me happy. And every time I found myself just getting emptied or being told shut down in some ways, including by my dad. Um, and I went to this meeting of mothers for some reason. It just came into my head, particularly mothers working in the creative industry and in artistic industries. Like, these were professional painters and sculptors, and I went in some ways to just motherhood has been on my mind lately for some reason. Oh, my dog is scratching. Look at that little bell. He's so freaking cute. Well, and he's a good reason. I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always loved kids. I've always been by my nature a caretaker, a maternal, and very nurturing. And lately, I've been wanting to do that, even through daddy recovery. Just heal myself, and see who heals with me, and love myself, and love a child, love my dog, love a baby, love a man. And the irony is that I see the family, but I don't see the partner. And I'm not even dating, because dating in this era, and you see it all the time in daddy recovery, is hell. Men have been all trained by my dad to just lie, or at least the ones I'm attracting. And that's part of why I went to this group. Attraction matters. What frequency you run in on matters. And I didn't see myself as impure, because A, that's how my father always defined me. And B, I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person. I'm generous. I'm loving. I'm caring. I'm compassionate. I'm forgiving. I'm all these virtuous things. But my problem is I'm not that to me. And I am, if you don't love yourself, you're going to attract people that don't love you. And you're going to attract people that kind of see everything that's lovable about you, but in you not recognizing and respecting what is lovable about you, see an opportunity to take advantage of you. Oh, she's really creative, but she's always calling herself stupid. I'm going to use that creativity to then steal her column, like that guy did in New York Theater Guide, and give it to other people that will then know how to fit more in line. So she gave me a free idea that I'm just going to get people that I could control more. Not realizing he never lost control of me. I So much of my life has been happen chance. Like, I didn't know I could be a photographer until more people started requesting my photography because of D'Andrea Muse at all. And even now, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, am I that skilled? I've taken gorgeous pictures, but I was raised by my dad to be so, like, everything about me had to be given, because I was always earning. I was always in this place of, you earn love, you earn respect, you earn honor. Like, he didn't protect me, he endangered me. And he made me feel like safety with him was something I had to earn by being quiet, by being cuddly, by being sweet, even in the face of his evil. And here I was surrounded by these women that kind of felt two things. The one thing is that there was this overwhelming kind of gaslighting of them, but I think that's, so I'm sure some of it was gaslighting, but I think it's also like motherhood is so gorgeous. There's just something, sometimes I feel like we go back and forth. We're always, left or right, never in the middle, never balanced, never harmonious. Whether or not you want to be a mother, you're good either way, but there is something so beautiful to motherhood. The problem is that it's weaponized against women. That's your sole identity. And their frustration, like with Kareen, is I'm here being told that motherhood is the greatest thing that's going to happen. And I'm going to love my kid automatically. And I'm going to feel so happy that when I try to go back into an art gallery, they're going to tell me, but aren't you a mom? And it's like, "Oh, do you want to be away from your baby?" And I'm going to be like, yeah, I actually do. Like, I have to be away from the baby to miss them. And I can't just be a mom. It depresses me. Like, I need to see me in my highest state, which is painting. I want to see me in my nature, which is creating, which is running an art gallery, so that when I go back to them, there's other parts of me that are so fulfilled that they can't, because my baby isn't paint, that when I finally go back to them, I feel so good. I'm going to be even better for them. And I'm not going to have to do this fake it till you make it energy. And she was talking about that, and it was so vulnerable and it was so raw. And I love that the room was so supportive of her and almost over eager to say, we don't necessarily feel the same, but you're not alone. There are other women who felt like that. And it's a journey that is absolutely valid. And it wasn't necessarily that they didn't feel the same in terms of they all were having this kind of existential crisis. Who am I in beyond motherhood, especially in a world that won't let me be beyond it? She just didn't feel connected to her child at all until they started getting more personality. And she blamed the pandemic, but she also blamed this kind of narrative that a parent's love is unconditional. And I say this as somebody who had an abusive father. My love was unconditional. I mean, I was a puppy. That's why people hate animal abuse, hate child abuse. You abuse an innocent, something so pure. That a puppy, you could kick it and it will follow you in hopes you take it back. And that's what my father did to me. He kicked me, and I would always go back. I would always call. He wouldn't call me. I called him. He would abuse me, like absolutely humiliate me, and then I'd be like, can we go out? I was so pure. And she was doing everything. Obviously a fantastic mother, making sure the child is healthy, loving the child, cuddling the child. The problem wasn't that she was still in this feeling of, I don't feel connected to this child. I'm doing everything for this child. I'm I'm pretending love, but I don't feel this deeper relationship. And when I try to do the things that make me feel deeper about myself, like painting, like running art galleries and art shows, I'm told, why would I want to do that? I have joy at home. And the other mothers fell so in love with their kids instantly and automatically, and discovering their personality, watching them age was such a delight. But both of them landed in the same place, which is, no matter how much I love my child, no matter how much I need to learn to love my child, need to learn to like my child, I still need something that is me. I still need something that is for me. And as women, our legitimacy is always questioned. Our validity, our talents, our skills, our capacities are questioned. And motherhood almost seals that questioning. Like, when you're a woman alone, you still get it, but there's almost like, I'm alone. Like, I could go anywhere, I could do everything. I'm taking care of me. And it's almost like, how could you be here? You've got something to take care of, and it's going to make you happy. And obviously men don't go through that experience. And it's so weird. And something told me go there because obviously to different degrees. My babies are my creative projects. And I I don't know how to appreciate Daddy Recovery and appreciate the healing that it gives me just on being able to rummage and unpack all my pain because I've done that before. And so much of my life, I've had to kind of learn and take away and be grateful for virtues in the ash of another devastation, in the ash of another breakdown or tower moment. Yeah, and I talk about that. I've had to learn strength, courage, and empathy in the face of not getting what I wanted in love, career advancement, public appreciation, a good friend. It's always, I wanted peace, I wanted stability, I wanted joy. And at best, I had to settle for contentment. The trust you learn because somebody betrayed you, the compassion you gain at seeing that they betrayed you because they had wounds, like my dad. But I don't want that anymore. Like, I want to learn joy because of joy. And I want to see if that brings me stability. And learning that alone has been hard. And it was just really nice to be in a room of people so eager to be there for each other, even in the face of this very existential fear of, will I ever be allowed to fully realize myself in a society that will weaponize something so beautiful, like having a child, like being creative, against me as to why they can dismiss me. You know, I was too good for that guy, too good in his own home. And instead of using me, he tossed me away. And within a year, he was done. And for these women, they felt tossed out because they committed the greatest act. And it was almost like your run is done. And it's really hard after that happens to find joy in the things you do because it's almost like rewards are taken from you, particularly the rewards that we claim are rewarding, like more money, more attention, more fame, more access, more opportunity, more work. And I think that with Daddy Recovery, I want to love it more than what I do. And when I do it, it feels so good to me. But I have all this past and all this fear of just handing over my identity to everything in hopes I will feel like I'm everything, that I'm almost jaded. And I don't know how to reinvest in my life in a way that is so pure that I'm still going to feel full no matter what happens. Damn. So check out daddyrecovery.com for all new episodes. Business Class comes out May 24th. Thank you so much for subscribing and following me. Yay.